Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan Ride Mechanic channel. How the heck are you doing today? Alright, today's video took a special trip. The wife and I, or Mrs. the Ride Mechanic and I, have been married now for 21 years. So what do we do for our 21st anniversary? I take her to the mall. Of course, who wouldn't? Well, I took her to the Mall of America. So let's do a trip report from all the rides and stuff at the Mall of America.
Now get ready. Here we go.
Alright, so we left Omaha at about 4:30 in the morning and we started the 5.5-hour trip, left roughly 360 miles to Bloomington, Minnesota, where the Mall of America is. Now, this is our first time going to Minnesota, so we had to stop and take some pictures along the way, but it was a fairly uneventful drive. Along the way, I did see these really weird clouds. It looks like where jets were taking off, but for some reason underneath there was like this dark, looked like exhaust. Maybe it was a shadow, I don't know, because they stayed in this exact formation for like 5 minutes of this drive. So much to the point where I had to take the camera out and take a picture of it because I'm like, man, these things are not going away. It looks so dark at the bottom. Anyways, we arrived finally at the Mall of America and I'm like, all right, let's check this out. This place was huge on the inside. Now, the parking lot was pretty dirty, so I wasn't sure what to expect, but we got in and the mall was actually nice and clean, very well kept. I kept my eyes peeled because I'm like, hey, is this a dead mall? Like, is this becoming like a dead mall? You know, those things where like everything is boarded up around there and like there's no stores actually going in. Now, there were about 6 or 7 locations that were walled off, but I did not actually, like, each one had a, hey, this is coming soon now, but it wasn't actually dead. So they had locations and things that were going in there. So we walked our way in and we just started walking around this mall. We showed up, honestly, about 9:30 in the morning, and we pretty much spent the entire day there. Now, to say you spent all day at the mall is pretty crazy, but this video is kind of chaotic because we are all over the place. We're going in and out of the amusement park since there's no real admission to it, and we're just starting out everywhere. So we walked around the amusement park a little bit, then we said we're hungry, let's go get food. So we stopped at the Shake Shack. Now, I've been to Shake Shack once before, didn't think it was anything noteworthy to write home about, but we stopped, got a milkshake and some burgers and stuff, and it was really good. Maybe it was just from the long drive, but shout out to Ryan, he was our server. Thank you, Ryan, for the great food. Always fun to know another Ryan out there. So then after we were full up of food, we said, okay, let's go check out Nickelodeon Universe there at the Mall of America. That's what it's actually called. And we started walking around. I just started taking video of stuff. I wasn't sure what I was going to see, what was there. I didn't do a lot of research, so I was kind of going into a blind, but honestly, that's kind of what I prefer when I do things like that. I prefer to explore and just see what's out there. We stopped here at this roller coaster, fairly odd coaster, and it was the first one of the day, so we're like, all right, this is a Gerslauer spinning coaster. So I was like, all right, I love the Gerslauer spinners because they are true, they're free open spinners, and you get a pretty good rotation out of them. So I'm like, let's go get in line, watch this operator here. They were paying more attention to their manual than they were the ride. Didn't like that, but whatever. So now we're going along here and watching the ride run. The ride looks very well upkept and maintained. The paint's in really good condition. Of course, it's indoors, right? So I'm expecting paint and stuff to be in good condition because it doesn't have that normal wear and tear from the outside world on it. So everything looks in great condition. The only downside is that, you know, it was the middle of the week when we visited, and they are realistically at minimal staffing, so everything is running pretty much one operator, which for some of these rides really caused a lot of issues. For this particular one, they were only running 2 coaches on it, so the operator would have to load 2 coaches and then dispatch one and then come back and then move the other one forward, load that one, and then let the one on the lift hill go. So that was obviously causing some slow operations. There was only like 15-20 people in line maybe, and it took us about a solid 10 to 15 minutes to get through this line till we finally got up top. But, you know, for running the ride with one person, they did a pretty good job at it. So we continued on around the park, watching stuff, looking at stuff. I love this green roller coaster overhead. It's a nice, I could tell by the track already, it's a Zaire roller coaster. I'm sorry, Tissir, I don't know how to say that. Anyways, It's a nice Tivoli roller coaster going around there. Couldn't wait to get on that one. I had to take a little clip of these monster trucks running, or these trucks running, because they were moving pretty quick. Normally I don't see them moving that fast. And then here we come on the infamous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shell Shock ride. Now, if you've ever seen this ride come across your YouTube feed, or if you've seen video of it from maybe somewhere you're not sure where it is, you typically see this one person that just spins this thing like crazy. Well, that is Queen Shell Spinner. She's got a YouTube channel, but actually she was there on this particular day too. It sounds like she's there all the time. So that was interesting to see as well. So I was sitting in line. There was hardly anybody there for so early in the day on just like a random Thursday. I was just getting some pictures of this thing running. I was really paying really close attention to the locking mechanisms and how they lock the vehicles out for raising and lowering. And then I was just generally curious about how the whole thing works. So I got lots of close-up nerd shots of this one. It seems like a fairly simple ride. It doesn't seem like there's much to it. But I do like to sit there in line and really focus in on some of these things that nobody else ever cares about. The scenic views of the ride, running around, and POVs and stuff like that. I let other channels handle that. They're equipped to do that sort of stuff. Me, not so much. See right here, outside left, that is Queen Shell Spinner. She is there pretty much every single cycle. On most every time I was there, she was there spinning. She always gets that one outside seat right there and sits there every single time. Moving along from this, we went to the Orange Streak. This was my wife's favorite ride, so Mrs. the Ride Mechanic loved this one. This is I'm going to say Zaire. I've been told that's wrong, but whatever. This is a modified Tivoli coaster, which is great. It's got 2 lifts. It's got a very long layout. It's got 2 train capability, which is very fun to be able to run that capability inside that little tiny bit of a mall there. For such a short space, they really used it well. There was a lot of stuff inside there. And you see those vent tubes going up to the top. I found out an interesting thing that my buddy was telling me. He said that that mall actually has no air conditioning, and it's got no heating. So they actually run geothermal air conditioning, which they run air through the ground and cool it somehow, which is just down deep through the ground and comes back up cold air. And then they use the heat that people generate from their bodies, and they basically just pump the cold air and heat around to modify and actually get the correct temperature inside the place. I thought that was really interesting. I was like, I did not know that. But I also didn't really research that at all either. That's just what I've been told. Taking some close-up nerd shots of the Zaire brake assemblies working. These are pretty easy components to work on. You can see the tachometer there on the right-hand side. Looks like a wheel with a plate on the bottom. Yep, that guy right there. That's a speed tachometer, so the brakes know when to open once the train's slowed down enough. So we went out again after our ride on that, which is a pretty fun ride. Got Wetzel's Pretzels. Those who know get Wetzel's Pretzels. Everyone else settles for Auntie Anne's. And then we went, did some souvenir shopping real quick, since it's our first time in Minnesota. While she was in there doing some souvenir shopping, I'm like, let me go out and get a couple of higher up shots of Shell Shock. Again, fascinated with this ride. It was really fun to go on, so I was quite happy with it. It's that mixture of it's a fun ride and it's challenging to do by itself, you know. Keep walking around. They had a really big Lego display. That was cool to see. And just impressed with the overall size of this mall. You know, when I looked at the aerial footprint, it didn't look like a huge mall. So I was like, I'm not sure what to think about it. But inside, yeah, it's huge. Brain Surge. I had seen this ride revealed a handful of years ago, and I was thinking like, oh, that looks like a fun thing to do. So I was able to get on this ride a little bit later on. But this is definitely a fun ride. It wasn't as disorientating as I thought it was, so if you get a chance, go on it. It was fun. And then right here in the middle of it, we've got this ride. This ride was built by Intamin. It's basically like a half pipe ride. This one is called Avatar Airbender. It's a pretty fun ride. For those of you who follow me on social media, you got this one little flip picture of these things running where I stopped it and zoomed in on the bottom of those. Yep, that's the Ferris wheel there at the park. So that's what I was doing the picture of. Next, we went on the Ghost Blasters. Now, this is a cookie cutter attraction. This is a clone attraction of plenty of other things, so there wasn't anything really to write home about there. A lot of stuff wasn't working on the inside, honestly. I don't think it was. Either that or it was just a crap shot, one of the two. I'm not sure. So we went ahead and went on that, and we had some fun. But this is, again, single operators. They loaded all 4 coaches up, and then they dispatched all of them and waited for them all to stop before they unloaded again. Single operator here. Now, I have a problem with single operator on this ride for this reason right here. Look at her. Like, you're not supposed to be doing that. You know what happens if you fall? Like, that's a bad situation if you fall, because you can get hurt. It's like a foot or 2 down. But that's not the only time she did that. We'll cover that later on in the video as well. So from the exit here of the haunted attraction, I was able to get a couple of nerd shots of a nice close-up engagement, some nice lift shots and things like that of the ride going up and over. I always like vertical lift hills, love to get some of the close-up mechanics involved on them, because it's something that a lot of people just gloss right over. And there you could see the pusher attached right to the back of the coach. Like, it's really nice that the coach slows down up and over the top like that. I find it makes the ride a little less intense as well. For people that are like, oh, those things are too intense. It's like when they slow it down over the top, it wasn't too bad. This one, however, though, it was kind of rough. So the only other one I've got close by is the Monster roller coaster over at Adventureland in Iowa, across the way there. And they take you up and over the top of that element pretty quick, which gives you some kind of like negative ejector air time once you start to get vertical on the other side. But this one was a little slower, and it was definitely much shorter. I mean, when you compare it to like Monster, which is an absolute huge ride, this one is also a Gerstlauer. Gerstlauer! Yep, that's right. So it's a fun ride as well. So we'll just go ahead and watch a little bit of nerdiness here, ride running. I always like watching these rides run. I don't know, I think it's just because of the short coach. Reminds me more of a Mad Mouse style ride. They move around pretty easily. Now, for this shot, I had the idea, I was like, I'm going to watch a full unload and load here. Maybe I'll do one of those things where I'm like, you could time it and like say, how long does this get in? But I mean, because the operator is still just sitting on the stairs over there and hasn't loaded anybody yet, I filmed it for like a minute and a half straight, and I'm just like, yeah, no. I'm gonna move on from this, because the total time dispatch, I just wasn't having it. So we headed back into the mall, walking around, taking a look at all the nice stores that are out there. Wife loves to go shopping. I, of course, like to go shopping as well. Stop back in. It's fun because, they got 3 levels, and the park's visible from 4 sides. So every time you get to a different side at a different level, you can stop and watch the park run for a little bit. You can see off in the background, they had one ride down for refurbishment that looked like a Fireball style ride. I don't know if it is for sure, but it just looks like that. It looks like they were replacing some motors and stuff off there in the background. Of course, some more nerd shots of Shell Shock. I got a lot of that going on in this video, just to give you a heads up. I was about to lay an incorrect statement down, but it turns out this one is actually made by guess who? That's right, it's made by Gerstlauer. Gerstlauer! Couldn't believe it either. I was just like, what? Oh yeah, it is. It's a Skyfly model. It's a really fun ride. I really enjoyed my time on it. I went back, I think, 3 or 4 different rides on this one. It was great. It's like a mixture of just having fun riding around on the ride itself, but skill as well. You really need the skill to operate those things. When Queen Spinner is out there flipping around like it's no big deal, that is not an easy thing to do at all. I mean, she definitely makes it look a lot easier than it actually is. Take a look at the other Gerstlauer running across on the other side of the park. Nice faraway view from it there. All right, back to the center of attention. Yeah, this is an interesting mixture of skill and timing, I think, with that thing. Now, when I saw the Queen Shell Spinner, I thought she'd look kind of goofy doing that. Like, she has to like manipulate the controls so hard before the ride even starts. But then after doing it a handful of times, I realized it's like, that's what you need to do in order to get it to spin. Rotations, I wasn't that successful on getting it to rotate over 360 degrees. I think I did it about 5 times during this trip. Wasn't that many times. Moving along from there, as I was walking around the park, it took me a while to realize that the whole escape climb zone over here, these were all climbing walls on top of there. I didn't realize that until I walked by and saw these kids climbing. I was like, oh my gosh, those are all climbing walls? That is crazy. Check that out.
Quick visit to the M&M store. We got caramel. They're actually really good. Never had caramel before, but they're quite good.
And I do like the M&Ms with peanuts, but the M&Ms with peanut butter on the inside, absolutely amazing. I highly recommend those things. Now, we took a walk over here. We had a friend that was into this stuff, and they said, hey, there's this expo, this pop-up shop thing going on over here. So we went in and take a look. It's like, what is this all about? Went in, got a free keychain. I can't even pronounce this name. I'm not into it, but my friend is, so it's like, okay. We went in, took a look around at some of this stuff. Noticed the price tag on it. We're like, whoa, all right. Serious collectors and builders only need apply for these things, but they're very intricate, very cool looking things. I could see why he's into it. It's like, definitely allows you to display a lot of stuff. Heading back, it was starting to get on in the evening. We went to the carousel. Did I fit? Yes, I did. They made me put the little black strap around my waist, though. I felt like that was kind of ridiculous. Next up, we went back for the plunge, bikini bottom plunge. In line, taking some shots of the vehicles that were offline being worked on. There's some that were tagged out, some that were ready for service, just not being utilized for this day. Low attendance day, of course. Now, here she is checking the restraints. I'm like, okay, not great, because if you fall off to the left or to the right, you know, it's a couple feet down. You could get hurt by the gates and stuff sitting there. That's not great, but that's not the problem. The problem is actually not the back row, it's when you check the front row. All right, she's doing the same exact thing on the front row. There, if she falls off, that is like a 6 to 8 foot drop down to the ground with the track in the way. I'm like, all right, well, they need to find a different way to do that, because that's like a workers' comp claim just waiting to happen for that thing. If that person falls off the front of that and hits the track before they fall down and probably hit the edge of the fence below, it's like, oh my gosh, you're gonna get hurt really bad. So a lot of times what they do is they develop just a square pad that sits on the track, and that is your crossover. But if you have to step down too far to get in that crossover, then this is one of those rides I would say you have to operate it with 2 people, because you can't cross through that coach. It's just not possible. So, and that's the same problem with guests putting stuff away. If you're guest number 3 in and you have stuff to put away in a little cubby over there, you can't do it. You can't cross past the other 2 people without stepping on top of them or over, and then you run the risk of a guest falling off the ride. That's not great. But anyways, that's my 2 cents for safety on this particular one. It's like, they need to fix something there, because that's not a great way to do things. Sorry I talked over the whole thing. Whatever. Anyways, getting off the exit, you got a nice little view of the maintenance shop over there, and their little assembly they use to go around and check like guides and stuff like that around the ride. So, your first ride? Well, on one of these type of roller coasters. How was it?
It was rough.
It was rough.
It was rough. thought I was gonna die.
That was her first vertical lift roller coaster. So she never wanted to go on those before. So I got her on that one. So that was a feat for sure. That's we didn't go on the carousel, or we didn't go on the Ferris wheel, I should say. But we did walk back around and we saw this guy, the brain drain, I think it is. And I was like, yeah, I want to go on that. Mrs. the Ride Mechanic was like, nope. So I'm like, okay, solo ride, here we go. So she filmed me for a bit. I had to sit there and figure out the controls. They're like, all right, what's it doing? What's this? What's that? And then eventually there I go again. It's like, all right, let's just start spinning. I'm going to go spin forward. We're going to spin backwards. We're going to do all sorts of stuff. So some of the times I felt like I had my son SON moment where I was just like, I just turned it upside down and held it there for a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, it was fun. There I went again. So if you ask, were you having fun on the ride? Yeah, I was having fun on the ride. Now here was my little lost opportunity on this particular trip. This little log ride here, we wanted to go on it, but we didn't really have extra clothes, so we're like, let's go on it later on in the evening. So we were like, okay, so I kept walking by and taking pictures of it and watching it go. But unfortunately, later on the evening came and they closed it an hour early, which is common for most water rides, but we got there like 40 minutes before park closing, and that's when it was like, oh man, they closed it already, so didn't get a chance to go on that one. Knock knock, who's there? Yeah, shell shock again. Yep, I'm back. Waiting in line again, doing some more stuff. It's like, all right, like I said, curious on this. I'm like, okay, let's try to see if I could see any of this. It's like, okay, here's the unlock mechanism in the back, releases, the rotation part. Okay, so there's me, and there's Queen Shell Spinner right there. And it's like, yep. Go up, and then they'll give the unlock command, and then you can watch Queen Shell Spinner over there get into her groove. I'm just trying to figure things out still each time. There goes Shell Spinner, watch her. And she's already inverted. Now let me tell you, this is not easy to do. It's physically difficult to do this for me. But I enjoyed it. Watch her go, man, because I'm not doing it. I'm trying. I'm trying the best I can to get over there, and I'm just like, come on, go. I keep stalling upside down. I think I got a couple rotations in on this cycle, but that was about it. Queen Shell Spinner, she's got an audience down there, people cheering her on. She takes pictures with people afterwards. It's like, wow, something, got a whole following. She does hundreds, like she's there all day. Didn't even wait in line for that. Like, I was second in line for this particular cycle, so the guy in front of me went in. I was next person in, went over there, and she had already walked in the exit and was sitting down there. Not upset about that, but the people are just like, the operators are just like, yep, that's just normal. It wasn't a big deal to me. I don't care. I just thought it was funny. Second person, and I look up, and she's already sitting there. I was like, wow. Oh, okay. That's how this is working. For those of you who follow Side Friction, the magnets are cheaper here. Okay, just got back. We checked into the hotel room. We are going to see how this works out. We're staying about a mile away from the mall. So we're dropping off the bags and stuff here, maybe take a quick little rest, and then we're going to head back and see what other mischief we can get into. We just had dinner at Outback Steakhouse, which is pretty much just next door down there. Amazing Outback Steakhouse. Shout out to them. Love those guys. Now this is just about an hour, not an hour, I keep saying an hour. This is just down the street from the mall pretty much. So we went back from the hotel, went back over there. This is level 2, taking some pictures of the log ride running here. It's a nice little ride. Kind of bummed I didn't get to get on it because it looks like it has a nice little animatronic insert area. Walking through the mall, we starting to walk through the food court. Now, luckily we had just eaten, but we're walking through the food area, which is like almost the entire upper level there. But we're walking through just every food place you could possibly think of. They have stuff there for everything. If you want to eat at the Mall of America, just go to the top. That's where everything is. And I kept walking by Cinnabon. There's Mrs. the Ride Mechanic shopping for daughter. On the phone, FaceTime with her, trying to get outfits. Now this little coaster was a pretty quick coaster. We did not go on it, but I was just like, wow, for a powered coaster, that was pretty fast. And then since the Mrs. the Ride Mechanic wanted to go on this roller coaster again, we went ahead and went back, and I was like, I got to get some pictures of this brake assembly working and running. The speed tachometer there on the outside. Went for another ride on the U-shaped coaster, the Intamin. Now this one, we went on one in Colorado that was just a little bit higher. This one's like 80 feet high. The one in Colorado was 100 feet. The Colorado one was the newer or older one. This is the newer one. So I could see some of the differences. The one in Elitch Gardens, they spin the gondola first before it starts to swing. This one, they just relied on the acceleration. There's probably its own stator underneath there against the LSMs on the bottom for its own rotation. I'm not 100% sure on that because it definitely feels like it's powered when it starts. So I could see the rotation being taken off of the LSMs for that particular reason, especially as one point when we changed direction, it felt like the gondola, like the seat rotation slowed down and changed rotation quick, like it was getting a secondary effect from the stators underneath. But it's a pretty fun ride. I actually prefer the older one at Elitch Gardens. It was the higher, that little just 20 extra feet on top really made a difference for that particular one. But this was still fun. Mrs. the Ride Mechanic loved it. Walking around as the sun's coming down, getting some evening time. So since there's a lot of natural light from the mall, and as you can see from the outside, since there's so much natural light coming in from those ceilings, the park does get dark towards the evening time. Now here was it. I was kind of bummed. I'm like, man, they took it down for the night. Oh, I missed it. I was like, oh well, but I was kind of intrigued by the paddle switches there at the end. I was like, look at these paddle switches. Like, I've seen limit switch paddle switches before, but those aren't limit switch. They actually go through to the side. Look at that. I was like, you got the paddles keeping the flow, which is keeping the sticks upright, and then off to the side, that little lever arm comes up, so the whole thing folds forward, and they use just a regular proximity sensor. I was like, well, that is actually really good. This stuff isn't underwater, because on the limit switch ones, they're underwater. Much better. I like this. And then we headed back to the hotel. We spent all day at a mall. Couldn't believe it. We kept saying that. Man, we spent all day at the mall. All right. Next morning, the original Pancake House. We went to this place. It was good. I can't really describe how good it is, but it seems like just your basic breakfast stuff. I love their little coffee. It looked like a little huddle, but the coffee was really good as well. They set this food down. There was a lot of pancakes, and I was like, oh, this looks so good. I was like, oh, so good. I don't normally have pancakes because it's just a lot of carbs, especially the amount of syrup I put on it. So much sugar and everything else in those pancakes, but I don't think we liked it. We polished the plates. That was so good. So this is how close we're staying. We're right there at the mall, and then there's IKEA, and that's where we were. Stopped by Harbor Freight. Love going to Harbor Freight. So much fun. So we had some time to kill before everything opened up, so we started going to things like, we went to Hobby Lobby here. Wife was looking for some ribbon and things like that. So we got a little bit of errands out of the way, because when we got home we had to do a bunch of stuff. So we went around and did a couple things. Wild turkey. We have made it to IKEA. I love IKEA. Who doesn't like IKEA? Now, if you've never been to an IKEA before, it's an amazing thing. The whole first part of the store is walking through these like example rooms. It's all stuff like this is the way they could be set up, and then later on you get into like the business end of it. Here's the famous kitchen here where they sell Swedish meatballs and stuff like that. All the plates are arranged in how much protein they have, which I like. But this is the business end, and this is actually one of the reasons why we wanted to come, because we use the crap out of these little white bowls here. We love them. We use them for everything, and eventually we break one or two of them here or there, and they're only $1. So that's great. IKEA, if you're not used to it, these casters, they have 4 individual swivels, which basically means you can Tokyo drift a cart around anything, and it's kind of fun to do, but it makes it easy in those small, tight aisles. You know, if you need to get around, you just turn the whole thing 90 degrees and you can move it. It's great. There we go. Tokyo drift that cart. A little bit of outdoor furniture. We're kind of eyeballing some outdoor furniture stuff. We're like, maybe when we get a table, we have to replace that. Anyways, heading home for the day. Heading out there, a long drive home. It's again 5.5-hour drive back to Omaha, Nebraska. Stopped at this cool gas station along the way. Got some McDonald's there because we just needed to stop real quick for some gas and food. So many cars at the pump, and then I realized they're all empty. Everyone's inside. Yeah. Don't leave your car empty at the pump, please. No one likes that. Anyways, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. It does help me out, and I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed my review. Mall of America with rides and some nerd shots. Big shout out to Mrs. the Ride Mechanic, who's put up with me now for 21 years. Thank you so much. As always, stay off the air gates. Bye.